This was a little sooner than we anticipated. It was an even bigger win than we anticipated. And I was just informed that we got double the number of votes that has ever been received in the great state of South Carolina. So that's pretty good. So it's a record times two. And there's something going on in the country. Some really great things are going on. You look outside and you see all of the horror. You see millions and millions of people coming across the border illegally. We don't know where they come from. They come from jails. They come from prisons. They come from all sorts of places that we don't want to know. They come from mental institutions and insane asylums. And we don't want that in our country. We're not going to stand for it. We're not going to stand for it. You have terrorists coming in. You have people coming in that we just can't. We can't do this. No country could sustain what's happening to the United States of America. No country. So we're going to straighten things out. The border is the worst it's ever been. You know, in 2016 we won, and we had a bad border, and I talked about the border a lot. Talked about it a lot. And I said, we're going to fix it, we're going to fix it. We fixed it very quickly. And in 2020, we couldn't talk about it, although we did get millions of more votes a second time. But now there's a spirit that I have never seen. We ran two great races, but there's never been a spirit like this. And I just want to say that I have never seen the Republican Party so unified as it is right now. Never been like that. And a big part of that is the people standing behind me. These are the biggest officials in South Carolina, but I say like the biggest officials in our country as far as I'm concerned. They're state figures, but they're national figures, and in the truest sense of the word, they love our country so much, and they want to see our country succeed and be respected again. Right now, we're a laughing stock all over the world. Our country is going to be respected again, respected like never before. So this is a fantastic evening. It's an early evening and a fantastic. So you can all go down and you can celebrate for about 15 minutes, and we have to get back to work because the big day, you know, Michigan's coming up. We're doing great. The auto workers are going to be with us 100% because they got sold out by this country. But Michigan's up, and we're going to have a tremendous success there. And then we have a thing called Super Tuesday, and I think we're leading 91-7 overall. If you don't mind, may I have the pleasure of introducing some incredible people? Because they stuck right from the beginning, from the very moment we announced, and they believe in make America great again. That's what they believe in. They believe in America first. We're putting America first. First of all, my family, Melania, Barron, Don Jr. and Kimberly, Ivanka and Jared, Tiffany and Michael. They're so supportive. So supportive of me, and we really appreciate it and love them. They're great. We have a great family, and we have incredible friends, and we're going to be up here on November 5th, and we're going to look at Joe Biden, and we're going to look him right in the eye. He's destroying our country, and we're going to say, Joe, you're fired. Get out. Get out, Joe. You're fired. They're destroying our country, and we're going to... I just wish we could do it quicker. 9 months is a long time. I just wish we could do it quicker, Mr. Governor. Is there anything you can do with your vast powers to make that, you know, in certain countries you're allowed to call your election date. If I had the right to do it, I'd do it tomorrow. I'd say, we're having an election tomorrow. Henry, is there anything you can do? I want to start off because right from the beginning, Henry McMaster, the governor of this incredible state, and much more importantly, his wife Peggy, she's with him all the way, I'll tell you. Never saw anything, what a couple. But I'd like to ask him to say a few words. He's a very special man, an incredible governor, very popular in the state, and really, I mean, he gave us some very good advice, and he has right from the beginning. You know, from the day I announced, I had the lieutenant governor. He was the lieutenant governor. And from right at the beginning. When I announced, then I said, I don't know the gentleman. Is he good? They said, he's really great. I said, well, I hope so. And you know what? Within about 2 weeks, I said, that guy is unbelievable. You know, I never got the support of the governor. She supported somebody else, but I had the support of somebody much, much better, Henry McMaster, and we won in a landslide. And I'd like to ask the governor to say a few words. Please, Henry.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll be very brief. Bill, I would like you all to remember this moment that you were here. This is a great moment in American history. We'll probably never see another one like it. Every time a rocket launches, you know, it goes up slow and then it's climbing and climbing, and then boom, that next stage comes off and it goes. Well, we just did that. We just hit maximum velocity. So we're going all the way.
So I'm going to ask somebody else to say, because he came on board and Lindsay wanted him and the lieutenant governor wanted him and everybody wanted him. Henry and Peggy wanted him. So I thought he was okay, but he didn't love speaking about himself because he's a good person. See, I have no problem with that. It's a problem. What a personality, I don't know. But he endorsed me, and then we asked him to go and do a few shows, and you know, they're not often nice shows. They're very hostile. And what he did was, I said, is this the same man? And he campaigned nicely, but he's a high-quality person. When he was supporting me the day, is that correct, Lindsay? When he went out, Tim Scott, Senator Tim Scott, he went out and he was ripping it. I said, what happened to Tim Scott? What a dynamo. And he has been one of our great advocates. He's been doing things that have been unbelievable. And I'm just very happy he didn't have that same energy, drive, because I think I probably would have been out of the race a long time ago. But I want to say, a very special man. I really do mean it. So many people have such great respect for him, and you're very lucky to have him in the state. Tim, please, say a few words.
Hello, South Carolina! The longer I speak, the less you hear of him. So let me just ask one survey question, and you better answer it loud and clear. Is South Carolina Trump country?
Thank you very much. Really great job. Amazing. Another man, not a lot of people know him. He doesn't do too much television. He happens to be a little bit further left than some of the people on the stage. But I always say, when I'm in trouble on the left, I call up Lindsey Graham, and he straightens it out so fast. And I'll tell you, no, remember. I love him. He's a good man. Come up here, Lindsay. Come up here, Lindsay. Come here.
Okay, you ready? America, the nightmare you're facing is just about over. Help is on the way. This is the most qualified man to be president of the United States. And let it be said that South Carolina created the biggest political comeback in American history.
Thank you. So, I have a son. He's a very talented guy, and he works so hard, and we love him, and his wife is very good. She goes on, and Laura. And I want to thank Eric and Laura for doing such a fantastic job. Really amazing. They're amazing people. Let's go down a little list of some of the people that are up here tonight, because every one of them is a star in their own right. And your lieutenant governor is going places. You do know that, right? Kamala Evans. And really going places. And Speaker of the House, Merle Smith, who's coming up in a couple. You know, some of these people are actually busy. He's running to get over here. But we want to thank you, Speaker of the House. Fantastic person, doing a great job for the state. An Attorney General who's been in the news lately a lot, winning cases. Oh, I wish we had such a good Attorney General like that in New York. Oh. He's a great Attorney General. Alan Wilson, thank you, Alan. His father happens to be up here, too. Remember his famous, "You lied." Remember? He's been loved ever since, hasn't he? Huh? Treasurer Curtis Loftus. Curtis, thank you very much. Wherever you may be. Thank you. Thank you, Curtis. Mark Hammond, Secretary of State. Thank you, Mark. Ambassador, and this is a great ambassador, one of the best. Anytime we had a problem, I just called Ed McMullen, and he would solve the problem very quickly. Ed, thank you very much. We have a man who's done a really good job in the state, your South Carolina GOP chair, Drew McKissick. Thank you. Thank you. We have a highly opinionated group of people. I'll tell you, they turned very positive on you very quickly, Elizabeth. So, you have a beautiful, beautiful state right next to you, North Carolina. We love North Carolina. In fact, they named their daughter Carolina. And I said, which state? She said both. I think I know which state, but that's okay. But they have the most beautiful daughter named Carolina. So we love both of them. We love them both very much, and we won them both very easily. And one of the reasons we won North Carolina is a man named Michael Watley, who looks to me, we gave him our endorsement, and he looks to me like he's going to be going on to the National Republican Party as the boss. Michael Watley. Where's Michael? Michael, thank you very much. And he's going to be working with Laura. And we may be putting Kellyanne in the group, too. Do we like Kellyanne? We love Kellyanne, right? But you're going to do a fantastic job, both of you. We appreciate it very much. What a job he's done in North Carolina, you know.
Today's video, we're going to be going over a very, very interesting pattern as we transition from the wintertime into the springtime very early this year. Typically, we see this transition happen after the midpoint of March. We're seeing it before March at this point, starting up. So this is definitely 2 or 3 weeks earlier than normal. We're going to be going over multiple severe weather threats, also some snowfall opportunities mixed in there. Again, it's like a combination of spring and winter-like weather. We're going to be fluctuating back and forth. It's going to be all sorts of crazy, and we're going to go over it today. Let's dive into things, and let's take a look here at the European model real quickly. And we do have some showers. I can't believe this is the most active thing happening today, but it really, really is. We have some snowfall showers for the mountainous areas of the southern Appalachian. And then we have rainfall showers and even perhaps thunderstorms happening throughout the Carolinas and into eastern Virginia. Now, as we transition towards tomorrow on Sunday, February 25th, what we see is the biggest storm really is going to be this one out here in the northwest, as we have a 986 millibar low pressure center. We also see some snowfall for the higher elevations here of the Cascades and the northern Rockies as well. And then we have rainfall here for the lower elevation areas of Washington, Oregon, Idaho, and Montana. Now, really, the jet stream pattern, this is the 25th. Keep in mind, this is the date that we've been talking about for weeks now as the transition date for this spring-like pattern to set in, and I think that's relatively accurate at this point. We'll see that in a second, but we have a ridge still over the west, but what we see is it's stretching pretty wide, and it's beginning to intrude here on the east. So this trough is sort of moving out as it's retreating away from this warmer air that is moving in. And what we're going to see is more storms and more cold move on shore, which is just going to help the peak of this warmth to move into the east. So let's watch that happen between, again, the 25th on Sunday and the 26th here on Monday. And what we see happening is just about that. We see a trough developing out west. That ridge is now peaked over the central states and is now fully intruding on the east. Okay, and this trough is digging deep, it's starting to, and we see heavier snowfall throughout the mountainous west. So for the Sierra Nevada mountains, the Cascades, and the Rockies, we're seeing moderate to heavy snowfall. We have 1,003 millibar over Nevada, a 991 over South Dakota, and these are kind of working in tandem here to create some pretty widespread precipitation out west. Let's keep going, though, and as we reach towards Tuesday on February 27th, we see this trough is now really peaked over the Four Corner states, and this ridge now is peaked over the eastern states. So expect Tuesday to be a relatively warm and humid day throughout the east here and throughout the kind of Ohio Valley and Great Lakes area here as well. I even had a high pollen alert come in today for Virginia, which is usually not expected in February at all. My allergies have been bothering me for a couple of weeks now. You guys might notice me being a little sniffly from time to time. I'm also allergic to dogs, and as you know, I got a new puppy if you watch that video. So I have a lot of things working against me in the allergy department. I'm doing okay, but it does bother me from time to time. Definitely with the seasonal allergies coming in, it's going to get a little rough here for a time. I'd say the interesting thing here is that, again, we have this trough peaked around the Four Corner states, and we also have a 996 millibar low pressure center over Colorado, right at the peak of that trough. So this is what is allowing for some pretty widespread snowfall throughout that trough area, especially Colorado into Nebraska, South Dakota, and even extending into Minnesota here. We're seeing the worst of that snowfall. Also keep in mind, again, the ridge here peaking over the east. We do have some showers and thunderstorms happening in the middle of that as well. Pretty typical with higher temperatures and higher humidity to see things of that nature. Now, this is when things get really interesting. Again, I mentioned that it's not going to be a stagnant pattern, okay? It's not going to be full cold in the west, full warmth in the east with no breaks. It is going to actually be a pretty transitionary pattern, and what I mean by that is we're going to see ridges build in the east, troughs build in the west, and then all of that is going to continue to slide eastward. I reverse my camera and do all sorts of stuff when I'm editing it, so that might be, my hand gestures there might be backwards. I hope it works out good, but in other words, we see, I'll show you in motion, we see the trough peaked in the west, ridge in the east, but watch how that trough just moves eastward. We see another ridge build in the west, but really quickly we're going to see another trough build in the west and a ridge in the east. So that is how the flow is going to be, and that is the perfect setup for this early season severe weather activity. Keep that in mind. What we see is a 989 millibar low pressure.
I'm so tired of my neighbor David when he comes to me and asks, "Hey Tim, can I please use your zoom lens to make vacation?"
We see is a 989 millibar low pressure center here over Iowa and a 995 here over the panhandle of Texas. So we have some pretty broad low pressure along the eastern front here of this trough. And what this is our northern jet is moving just about like this, and the southern jet is also embedding itself in all of this activity, and that is why we see low pressure systems along this. Expect potential snowfall for the upper Midwest, the plains, and the Rockies because of this feature. But not only that, we're going to see severe weather developing on the southeastern area of this front. So let's watch that play out. It's going to be starting Wednesday on the 28th. Here, and by the afternoon, we see a really rigorous cold front area with thunderstorms and showers along it, stretching from the deep south in Louisiana and Mississippi, all the way up to Pennsylvania and Ohio, as well as everywhere in between, like Kentucky, West Virginia, Tennessee, Alabama, states of that nature. So expect heavy rainfall, thunderstorm opportunities, but not only that, severe weather opportunities mixed in there, which we will know more about here over the coming days. Now, as we reach the night, Wednesday into Thursday, we see that this cold front does reach the East Coast. We have a really
are a few things more embarrassing than being rejected by your own people than coming home to a homecoming and nobody wants you here. Everybody meets you at the front of the town and throws rocks and bricks at you. And that is effectively what just happened to Nikki Haley in her home state in South Carolina. But it's far worse than just being rejected. You are literally being run out of town on a rail. It's humiliated publicly. I cannot believe what just happened to Nikki Haley in the South Carolina primary, okay? Get ready for this. So there was sort of the groundwork already laid there. Donald Trump was winning by a huge amount in every single poll. But every time that you talked with people on the ground in South Carolina, and I just left South Carolina, you didn't hear a single person supporting Nikki Haley. I didn't hear a single person say they wanted to vote for Nikki Haley. And I spoke to hundreds of people in South Carolina. So you get clips like this.
Final poll, guys. Who is still undecided in this diner? Undecided? Who's going for Nikki Haley in the diner? And who's going for former President Donald Trump? Okay, guys. I'll send it back to you guys in New York.
So, ladies and gentlemen, the polls closed, and then something absolutely magical happened. Check this out. So, these are the headlines right now across the internet. Donald Trump handed Nikki Haley a whooping in her home state. Donald Trump crushes Nikki Haley in her home state just seconds after the polls closed. We won in a landslide. In fact, Donald Trump made history again tonight by defeating Nikki Haley not only in the fastest time that any race has ever been called ever, and I'm going to show you a clip right now that's going to blow your mind away, but by the biggest margin ever. Donald Trump gaining the most votes ever in the South Carolina primary history. So that was quick. Danny Derbina, one of the producers on this show, tweeting 1 minute after the polls closed, less than 1% of the vote in, they already called it for Donald Trump. Boom. Right there. Called it. This is the New York Times. Okay? This is Decision Desk right here, and you can see Donald Trump cleaning up in the state of South Carolina. But it gets more embarrassing. Check this out. This is the live broadcast from Fox. This is Fox's live broadcast on election night. So they do this thing where the polls close and they move to a totally different team, a totally different set, and totally different anchors, right? And so the anchors barely have enough time to introduce themselves before they call it for Donald Trump in South Carolina.
It is 7 p.m. here on the East Coast, and the polls are officially closed in the state of South Carolina. Good evening. I'm Brett Baer.
And good evening, everybody. I'm Martha McCallum, live here at Fox News headquarters in New York for our special coverage of the South Carolina Republican primary. And the Fox News Decision Desk can now project that former President Donald Trump will win the state's GOP primary. Trump now has 3 times as many delegates as former Governor Nikki Haley, and then with these tonight, he could add up to 50 more.
Not a lot of suspense tonight.
Not a lot.
Haley could not convert her hometown advantage into a win. She told supporters this week she was not dropping out of the race. South Carolina is the last of the early states with a significant number of delegates.
So, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Nikki Haley just lost her home state within seconds of the polls closing. This race is over. This was never a race. The primary is merely a formality. It's always been Trump. If Nikki wants to hang around and keep getting steamrolled, well, she's more than welcome. Donald Trump is, of course, the nominee. That is naturally what the entire internet is saying. We do have a team on the ground at the Trump Victory Party. We are creating content there. The great ALX, our executive producer at the show, is there with a team. Donald Trump defeating Haley in South Carolina. Obviously, the crowd is raucous there. There were a lot of VIPs that showed up in South Carolina to help Donald Trump. Here's Marjorie Taylor Greene at a polling location today holding up a Trump sign. Team Trump announcing their victory again. 7:02. The polls close at 7 o'clock. So this is all of 60 seconds after the polls close. This is Donald Trump seeing his victory there backstage. This is backstage at the event. Donald Trump watching, kind of shocked, frankly, that I think even Donald Trump was surprised here. President Trump, there's never been a spirit like this. We've never seen a Republican Party so unified as it is right now. That is 100% accurate.
Now there's a spirit that I have never seen. When we ran to, remember, our border is not open because of insufficient resources or legal authority. We ran two great races, but there's never been a spirit like this. And I just want to say that I have never seen the Republican Party so unified as it is right now. Never been like this.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, there is a good, raucous feeling inside of that room. Massive Trump chants breaking out. Again, we have a team there. We will bring you more content from inside of the election night party. Here we go. And the people have a reason to be excited. Donald Trump announcing that they have made history tonight.
I was just informed that we got double the number of votes that has ever been received in the great state of South Carolina. So,
ooh, baby, come on. This is Caroline Leavitt tweeting this amazing photo. You can see Donald Trump staring what is effectively into a mirror, looking at himself winning South Carolina again, seconds after the polls closed. An amazing photo, by the way. Honestly, a piece of art. The victory is what Caroline Leavitt tweets. 4 indictments, $450 million in civil fines, 90% negative news coverage, trying to remove from the ballots threats against his millions of supporters, 75 million supporters plus. Nothing can stop this man. I've never bought the 75 million. I think Donald Trump has well over 100 million supporters in America. I think he's the most popular politician in American history. Modern American history, for certain. Ladies and gentlemen, Donald Trump did get some booze on stage. Of course, not about Donald Trump, but about a very unpopular member of the Republican Party in South Carolina, somebody who's often called a Democrat, wolf in sheep's clothing. No, not Nikki Haley, Lindsey Graham. This is hysterical.
Another man, not a lot of people know him. He doesn't do too much television. He happens to be a little bit further left than some of the people on the stage. But I always say, when I'm in trouble on the left, I call up Lindsey Graham and he straightens it out so fast. And I'll tell you, no, remember. I love him. He's a good man. Come up here, Lindsey.
Uh-oh.
Come here.
Okay, are you ready? America, the nightmare you're facing is just about over. Help is on the way. This is the most qualified man to be president of the United States. And let it be said that South Carolina created the biggest political comeback in American history.
Short speech there from Lindsey Graham, who's been a senator from South Carolina, I guess, since the Mesozoic era. Lindsey Graham obviously spent far more time in Washington, D.C., than in his home state. He is disliked in his home state. And the reason I show you that full clip is to show you the breaking point that we are at right now, how special this victory is. This is a victory that is a full and total repudiation of the corporate establishment, backstabbing GOP. They can't even call themselves Republicans. By the time we're done, they won't even be able to call themselves Republicans. These people aren't Republicans. They are uniparty simps for Democrats. Lindsey Graham they can't even call themselves Republicans by this point that we are at right now, how special this victory is. This is a victory that is a full and total repudiation of the corporate establishment, backstabbing GOP. They can't even call themselves Republicans. By the time we're done, they won't even be able to call themselves Republicans. These people aren't Republicans. They are uniparty simps for Democrats. Lindsey Graham is one. Nikki Haley is one. She is a Democrat. Her voters are Democrats. Her supporters are Democrats. Her donors are Democrats. Her policies are Democrats. And she admires Democrats. She says that Hillary Clinton is her idol. Well, that's all you need to know. Okay? So this is a return of the party to the people. This is a return of the party to the people who actually support and create and make up the Republican base. And that is such an important thing because our concerns, our needs, and quite frankly, our representation is the purpose of the Republic.
Jonathan Lee Riches investigates, reporting from rainy, far eastern San Diego County, California, in Copa. That's the name of this community here. I'm right at a migrant camp just east of Jacumba, California, and it is raining out here. It is raining out here. And this camp yesterday, there were people here. There were people here. And this morning, it is empty and it is raining out. We also have the media over there. We have the media out here doing a report on the side of the mountain. It's foggy. This is a migrant camp off of Old Highway 80 and Interstate 8. Right over there, going more east on Interstate 8, it takes you down the bottom of the mountain. Up top here is a migrant camp. And lately, the people that have been crossing into the United States illegally would be coming from beyond those power lines there. Some would be stumbling down the mountain. Stumbling down the mountain to this camp. There is a border wall from this location a little bit down, and maybe I'll just take you there now. Now, you can go around the border wall, or you can go even further past the border wall that's gone and come into these mountains here and stumble down these mountains. And that seems like that's the route people that have been crossing into the United States illegally been taking lately here in Jacumba. Somebody's doing it from Fox News. Could be Fox News. Matter of fact, that could be Bill Maluzhin, possibly, out here. But let me kind of show you. And look, it's blowing around. Let me just show you this camp here in the rain. Now, this camp was full yesterday. I filmed it. There was a few dozen people here. But look at this. Look at this. I would take you out there in the rain. But let me just show you. And this is the interstate highway. This is Old Highway 80 here. It's really called Incoba, or I don't know. It's some sort of three-letter town just before you go down this mountain range. Incoba, something like that. Look at the rocky terrain out here. Look at the rocky terrain. And if I say that not being wrong, I apologize. But let's actually go to the border wall from here. Let's go see the border wall from here where it ends. And maybe possibly we can see people that cross into the United States illegally from this location here. So migrants lately, or people that cross in the United States illegally, come down this mountain or come along this dirt road and walk down this dirt road. The road is a little rough. I'm about to show you the distance between the road, or the camp, and to the wall, the end of the border wall. In the rain, early morning, probably most likely, Border Patrol picked those people up sometime between when it got dark and early this morning. Sometimes these people at these camps that cross in wait at these camps for over a day or over 12 hours through the night. Sometimes authorities don't pick people up until there's a van over there, or a truck, something. There's a vehicle over there, which is interesting. But there's other people out here covering the border migrant crisis in this area. Look at the fog. We're gonna go down and see what's going on. Wait for this vehicle to pass through. Maybe even follow it. Have you seen the images of people coming down the mountain? apparently cartel, or the people that bring the organizations, cartel that bring these people to the border. They drive to the border wall and they drop them off in groups of 15, 20. I've seen 25 come out of one vehicle. But it's good to give you this information. Power lines are kind of crisping. I can hear the crisp sounds of the power lines. Let's see if anyone's crossing in. And there's no border patrol out here that I've seen so far this morning. This is early morning. Rain is still coming down. It's kind of drizzling at this point. Say it's about a few miles from the camp to the border, the end of the border wall. So bear with me. Just how remote it is out here. See that gully there? Now the rain is coming down more. Not muddy out here at this time. It has been raining for a while. Oh, here I was told was one of the pathways they're coming in at because you can see all the trash, water bottles, articles of clothing. Sign there that says no shooting. Continue to take you to the border wall from here. Look, you even got shoes right there. So remote out here, you're going to be shocked at what you see here coming up. That's just some of the roads here I have to be careful on. Like right here, I have to be careful really right here. And a lot of times when these illegal crossings occur, they occur between 6 and 8 a.m. And it is 6:30 a.m. here in just east of Macumba. 6:30 a.m. And here we are. We made it to the end here. The border wall is right up here and it comes to a complete end. Will people cross into the United States illegally here? They would come right here at one point, or go farther east from here. Here's the border wall, folks. And looks like the other side. The wall goes in there. This is the long border wall. But I don't see anyone getting dropped off now. Now turn around. Don't see anyone getting dropped off. JLR investigates out here in a Cumba, just east of a Cumba.
Guys, so here we are at Walmart. Due to popular demand, people are always saying, Nate, can you let us know what are some off-the-cuff, offbeat prepping items that we can find?
I want to start off obviously thanking my family. I am so incredibly blessed. With Michael this morning. His support has been amazing. The kids have really stepped up, sometimes too much, but they have stepped up in a way that has made me so proud. I am blessed because I had the ability to actually go vote today with my mom. And there's something very special with the fact that she was a lawyer in India, and she was named one of the first female judges. And because of the times, she was never able to sit on the bench. But the fact that she could go with me and cast her ballot for her daughter as President of the United States was amazing. I want to thank my parents who taught me strength and grace. I want to thank Michael's parents who have been unbelievably supportive through and I want to thank my brothers and my sister and their families for always supporting us every step of the way. Thank you. I feel blessed tonight. I've felt blessed through this entire journey. Even when it's been tough, I haven't lost sight of that. I've felt God's strength and grace every step of the way. I'm blessed to have served the state that raised me. And I look forward to continuing to be blessed to serve the state that raised me, whether it's going and voting with my mom or whether it is being with our family. We're very grateful for the good people of South Carolina. Thank you. And it's a blessing to know that across our sweet state, everyone wants to bring back the America we know and love. That's the underlying message of what happened today. I want to congratulate Donald Trump on his victory. And I want to thank the people of South Carolina for using the power of your voice. No matter the results, I love the people of our state. I love what we accomplished together, and I love how we united during our worst challenges and tragedies. I've always seen our state as a family. Families are honest with each other. They say the hard truths. That's what I've done this entire campaign. And that's what I'll do now. What I saw today was South Carolina's frustration with our country's direction. I've seen that same frustration nationwide. I share it. I feel it to my core. I couldn't be more worried about America. It seems like our country is falling apart. But here's the thing. America will come apart if we make the wrong choices. This has never been about me or my political future. We need to beat Joe Biden in November. I don't believe Donald Trump can beat Joe Biden. Nearly every day, Trump drives people away, including with his comments just yesterday. Today in South Carolina, we're getting around 40% of the vote. That's about what we got in New Hampshire too. I'm going to count it. I know 40% is not 50%. But I also know 40% is not some tiny group. There happens in South Carolina, I would continue to run for president. I said earlier this week that no matter what happens in South Carolina, I would continue to run for president. I'm a woman of my word. And Joe Biden. War is spreading further every because deserve better. They just really stepped up. The mayor of Myrtle Beach, she was absolutely fantastic. We have our Women for Nikki chapters in every state in this country.
is getting crazier by the day, folks. This is Tony. Hope you're all doing well. I'm going to get into a ton of stuff in this video. It makes you wonder if you're living in a movie, folks, because of all the stuff going on around us. It makes literally no sense. We got so many stories actually to get into, some big stories. What just happened to The Rock? We have something that just came out with regards to Disney you're going to definitely want to see, and actually a ton of other things. Let's just get into this. First, to start with this here, folks. Is Hollywood rigged? Tom Cruise drove a motorbike off a cliff. Keanu Reeves fell down 50 flights of stairs. Yet for some reason, the winner of action movie star was Rachel Zegler, who pretty much did nothing even remotely action-based compared to what Tom Cruise and Keanu Reeves did. They just give out these awards to whoever is the wokest of all, folks. That's pretty much the latest with that. Of course, it's probably not too surprising for you to see something like that. But yes, indeed, she was given Action Movie Star of the Year at the People's Choice Awards. Rachel Zegler, I think she's the one playing Snow White. Okay. Why? What is she? Oh, okay. Hunger Games. The Hunger Games, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, apparently. Winners of the People's Choice Award. Why is it that she got this, folks? It literally makes no sense. All right. We have Chris Pratt, who was also, and Keanu Reeves were all nominated. Gal Gadot as well. But for some reason, this lady instead won. When it makes, of course, she's the one who was picked for certain specific roles of recent. She's their latest darling. We got to promote her everywhere. Yes, indeed. That's how they work in Hollywood, folks. Living in their own little bubble, not knowing really what's going on. As you can see here with this movie, Madam Web is the worst box office opening ever for Sony's Spider-Man movie franchise. Doing quite well, folks. Of course, promoting certain types of values in the movie that you and I are not movie. What? Optimal score, of course, got to see the ads here. Folks, you remember that whole thing? We got something going on with, of course, a previous prize. We're going to get into that a little bit. And actually, a ton of other things. So, pretty hilarious.
The RMS Titanic was branded by many at the time to be an unsinkable ship. However, if you look at history and conspiracies, it seems like the RMS Titanic was sewn together by bad omen and crucial mistakes from beginning to end. From forebodings of a tragedy to the ship's missing key, here are 20 mysterious photos before the Titanic sank. Number 20. The ship's good luck charm. This is a photo of Jenny, the cat aboard the Titanic. Yes, aside from the passengers who boarded the Titanic, there were animals. Or rather, just pet dogs, really. And I'll get to them later. was among the animal passengers of the Titanic, but she wasn't with the guests. She was a ship cat, a common feature on ships at the time, meant to control the rat population. Jenny was seen as a good luck charm, as were most ship cats. After all, they kept the pests away, and they were cute to look at as they roamed around the ship with no restrictions, gallivanting as if they owned the watercraft. There was no news as to whether Jenny sank with the Titanic. While many believe she perished along with the other human victims of the tragedy, others believe that Jenny predicted Titanic's tragedy. It's quite interesting. She's thought to have come aboard the Titanic while it was docked in Belfast, making her home in the galley. In early April 1912, shortly before the Titanic set off on its doomed voyage, Jenny had kittens. She and her young were cared for by Joseph Mulholland, an Irish stoker. Now, legend has it that Jenny took her kittens off the ship one by one when the Titanic docked at Southampton. Mulholland, seeing the cat choose to relocate her young, decided to let the Titanic leave without him. He claimed that Jenny must have seen the disaster. Perhaps her motherly instinct saved her and her litter. Well, at least, this is what legends claim. To this day, the true story of Jenny remains shrouded in mystery. Before we go on, like this video, smash the subscribe button. Sank. Many noticed the number of lifeboats wasn't enough. When the Titanic commenced its doomed first voyage in April 1912, it was outfitted with only 20 lifeboats, a figure dramatically insufficient for the number of passengers and crew on board. Perhaps it was the ignorance of this protocol that sealed the Titanic's fate. The Titanic was equipped with a mix of lifeboats, 14 standard wooden lifeboats, each with a 65-person capacity, 2 wooden cutters accommodating 40 people each, and 4 collapsible canvas lifeboats, capable of holding 47 individuals apiece. Altogether, these boats had a capacity for about 1,178 people, just a fraction of the ship's full capacity. However, even this limited capacity wasn't fully utilized, as lifeboats were launched with significantly fewer passengers than they could hold. The Titanic's fate was doomed from the beginning to the end. Initially, the ship was designed to carry 32 lifeboats, which would have sufficed for people on board, given that all spaces were properly occupied. Yet, this number was cut to 20 to prevent overcrowding of the decks. This decision was in line with the then-current regulations, which based lifeboat requirements on the ship's cargo, not on its passenger capacity. The deployment of the lifeboats was a complicated and drawn-out operation. It required 80 minutes to send off all 16 lifeboats, averaging about 10 minutes per boat. The first boat launched with only 28 people, despite having room for 65, as many passengers initially underestimated the severity of their predicament and hesitated to vacate the ship. And to make matters worse, all of the lifeboat drills were canceled. Number 18. Mummy's Curse. This eerie-looking mummy is known as the Unlucky Mummy. There have been claims that it caused the RMS Titanic to sink. This artifact is not an actual mummy, but rather a painted mummy.
Feels like a dream, feels like legend. Now I believe I can have it.
Mummy's Curse. This eerie-looking mummy is known as the Unlucky Mummy. There have been claims that it caused the RMS Titanic to sink. This artifact is not an actual mummy, but rather a painted wooden mummy board or inner coffin lid from the late 21st or early 22nd dynasty. It was discovered in Thebes and is now at the British Museum, catalogued as EA22542. The story goes that the mummy board depicts a high-ranking woman involved in temple music rituals. It was among the cargo on the Titanic on its maiden and last voyage. Number 17. David Blair and the Missing Binoculars. The lack of binoculars for the ship's lookouts is often cited as a contributing factor to the disaster. Reports suggest that the binoculars were unavailable because David Blair, initially appointed as the second officer on the Titanic, was reassigned to another vessel just days before the Titanic's departure. In the haste of his departure, Blair mistakenly took the key to the crow's nest locker, where the binoculars were supposedly kept. This allegedly turned out to be a fatal mistake. This reshuffle of officers, which saw Blair's reassignment on April 9, 1912, led to the demotion of William Murdoch and Charles Lightoller, and Blair's complete removal from the ship's command. For this reason, the binoculars intended for use in the crow's nest lookout remained inaccessible throughout the voyage. There are, however, variations to the story. Some claim the locker was found to be open but empty, while while others suggest Blair might have left the binoculars in his cabin, or taken them, as they were his personal property. Regardless, the binoculars were nowhere to be found. The absence of the binoculars became a point of discussion in the post-sinking investigations. This has fueled speculation about whether the availability of binoculars might have changed the voyage's tragic end. Number 16. Near collision in Southampton. This ship isn't the RMS Titanic, but rather the New York. This might have been one of the factors that slowly pushed Titanic closer to its doomed fate. On the morning of April 10, 1912, as the RMS Titanic was departing Southampton for its maiden voyage, the Titanic's enormous size and the force of its propellers caused an unexpected and dangerous situation. RMS Titanic was running at 6 knots when she passed by the New York and the Oceanic, who were tied together. The SS New York was accidentally dislodged from its berth by the water displacement created by the Titanic's movement. As a result, the New York began to drift toward the Titanic, presenting a real risk of collision. Quick action by Captain Smith, assisted by pilot George Boyer and the tugboat Vulcan, successfully averted what could have been a disastrous start to the Titanic's journey. This incident, which delayed the Titanic's departure, was seen by some as an unsettling sign of what was to come. Number 15. The dogs of Titanic. It's an excellent feeling for pet owners to experience adventures with their beloved furry friends. However, the first class who brought their dogs with them on the Titanic only realized their mistakes in the end. When the Titanic embarked on April 10, 1912, it had 12 dogs aboard, all belonging to first-class passengers. This diverse group included breeds like an Airedale named Kitty, whom we're 100% sure was a dog despite its name, a Pekingese named Sun Yat-sen, and a Pomeranian named Lady, along with other purebreds and cherished pets of some of the ship's wealthiest passengers. It wasn't cheap to secure a place on the Titanic, especially for pets. The lives of these dogs on the Titanic mirrored the luxury experienced by their affluent owners. The smaller breeds were pampered in the first-class cabins, while the larger breeds were comfortably accommodated in well-appointed kennels on F-deck. They were regularly taken for walks on the poop deck. Quick fun fact, the poop deck is actually a short, high deck of the ship, and it has nothing to do with actual poop. It was named after the French term la poupe, which means the stern. The dogs of the Titanic were often brought into this section of the ship by the bellhops. There was even an informal dog show planned for April 15, a poignant event that would never happen due to the ship sinking. During the catastrophe, only 3 canine passengers, all smaller breeds, managed to survive. The fortunate survivors included 2 Pomeranians and the Pekingese Sun Yat-sen, their diminutive size enabling the owners to bring them onto the lifeboats inconspicuously. Sadly, the larger dogs did not make it through the disaster. Number 14. J.P. Morgan's cancellation. J.P. Morgan is among the most prominent people who canceled their tickets and didn't show up on the maiden voyage of the RMS Titanic. However, his last-minute cancellation led to some dark theories. Morgan, a prominent financier and the owner of the International Mercantile Marine Company, which owned the White Star Line and the Titanic, was initially scheduled to be on the ship. Yet just before the Titanic set sail, he unexpectedly called off his trip. Various explanations for this change of plans have been suggested, including health issues and a desire to continue his stay in France, possibly for a relaxing time at a spa with his mistress. Well, it wasn't seen as something suspicious until the Titanic sank. J.P. Morgan was a prominent figure, and it would be expected for him to want to socialize with others on the ship. And so, many believe that he might have known about the RMS Titanic's fate. Many believe he planned the ship's sinking to eliminate business rivals against his financial plans, particularly the creation of the Federal Reserve System. Advocates of this view contend that removing these key individuals on the Titanic would facilitate the establishment of the Federal Reserve. Another more speculative theory with even less substantiation links Morgan to the 1898 novel Futility by Morgan Robertson, which eerily foretold a disaster involving an unsinkable ship akin to the Titanic. Some conspiracy theorists speculate whether this novel influenced Morgan to orchestrate a similar catastrophe. While it's true that these theories are merely, well, theories, many continue to dwell on their probability. Number 13. The ship who watched the Titanic sink. This ship is the SS California, the steamship of the British Leyland Line. On the night the Titanic sank, this ship was in close proximity to the Titanic, And yet, despite its proximity and the distress signals raised by the Titanic, the Californian took no action. But here's what's not often discussed. You see, hours before the Titanic struck the iceberg, the Californian's radio operator sent a message warning nearby ships, including the Titanic, of ice fields ahead. This warning, however, did not reach the Titanic's captain, because the radio operator, Jack Phillips, did not deem it urgent enough to